Not cool. What kind of fabrication is this? Welcome back. If you saw my previous video, I've got the link up there, or definitely in the description, of me picking up this 1950 Ford F1. It's time to have a look at what I got, because they're always prettier in the light, right? So a little bit of backstory on this truck. I actually have owned it for a long time. I brought it up from Oregon back in 2008, I think, and I've had it kept in a garage for a long time. I've never had any real time to work on it, and that's going to change now. She's in really good shape. I bought her off of eBay. I think it was about 1,800 bucks. Not bad for something that is in this good a shape. As in my previous video, I did note that there are some blemishes on her. She's not perfect. A little bit of rust. There's the F1 logo. And there's some things that need to be addressed, obviously. So the first thing I'm going to need to do to this truck, because I did buy it out of Oregon, I need to have it registered in the province of BC, and that requires a provincial inspection. They're going to go through things like brakes and lights, look for obvious safety features like excessive rust, exhaust leaks, that kind of stuff, and make sure that the thing is roadworthy. The neat thing about it is that I only have to conform to safety standards of the vehicle the year it was manufactured, if it's 15 years or older. And in this case, I don't have to worry about seatbelts. I will put seatbelts in. I don't have to worry about ABS. I do have to worry about proper lighting for the time, and I'm able to upgrade whatever I need to upgrade to make the vehicle safe. So things like brakes and tires, the obvious safety stuff. That way, once I've got it through inspection, I can then start doing the actual hard work, the heavy lifting on the Forge project, which is going to be marrying the body of this F1 to the chassis and running gear of the Dodge 2500 4x4. But a lot has to happen before then. So, because let's face it, if I end up taking this to Canadian Tire for the provincial inspection, some poor pimply-faced kid fresh out of trade school is going to look at this truck and go, huh? So I need to get this thing through provincial inspection. So now I'm going to kind of have a quick once-over, and I'll show you what I think I need to fix before that's going to happen. So one of the very first things I'm going to need to do, wow, it sounds like an echo chamber under this hood. The engine bay is so big, is obviously get the engine running. Does it run? I don't know. Where's the carburetor? It's right here. It was in a bag. So I need to first of all get this engine running. I don't know the state of the transmission. I don't know how good the engine is, if it's any good at all. If it's blowing a lot of blue smoke, well then, that's a no-go for the actual inspection. These old vehicles used to be 6 volt, but obviously running a modern V8 engine is going to be a 12 volt coil. So that's the starter solenoid there. You can see the 12 volt comes off of here. That's going to be down to the starter. Power goes along there. There's a big voltage reducer block there. That's just a big ass resistor, and what that does, it drops the voltage down to 6 from 12 for the instrumentation, because if you try to run 12 volts to those things, they're going to just burn right up. Need to make sure this wiring's in good shape. Need to make sure that the alternator puts out some voltage. The fuel pump down there works. I bet the fuel in the tank, which is inside the cab, is super skanky, so I'll need to make sure I'm running fresh fuel. Inside fenders look pretty good. Frame is solid. There's no rust at all. Inside of the hood and everything. It's a little bit damp in here, probably because when I towed it, someone's gone and thrown a transmission cooler on there, which is a good idea, because this is probably the original radiator that was cooling the flathead that was in there. It's probably up to the task. It doesn't look like a huge horsepower motor with a 2-barrel carb on there. But they were smart enough to throw in a tranny cooler. There wouldn't be an integrated transmission cooler into this radiator, so that's something they had to do anyways. So you'll have to excuse the mess. It's a bit of a dog's breakfast in here. This is the old heater core. I'll probably want to find out if it leaks and get it working, because I don't think it would pass without an actual defrost. Because otherwise you're going to drive around like that, and that's probably a no-no for inspection. You can see that there's only 2 pedals in there, gas pedal, brake pedal. Surprisingly, I put my foot on that earlier and the brakes do seem to work, which is, wow. This really poorly installed transmission shifter needs to be addressed. I need to make sure it's in park before I try to start the engine, and that means it's going to be me crawling underneath and making sure that transmission's in park. The seat's obviously not original, and it just kind of flops around. That's like, wow. That'll need to be fixed. Pretty sure that wouldn't pass inspection. That probably 73-year-old foam is gonna come out. It looks, oh yeah, ooh, don't even want to touch that. It's gonna come cascading down. Cool thing about this truck, I think, is that it only has one windshield wiper. So you can see there's a delete right here for a second windshield wiper. I bet that was an option from Ford when this was new. There's the other driver's side windshield wiper. That's gonna be kind of cool driving around in the wet coast with one windshield wiper. This is also another neat feature. There's actually a lever inside the cab where you can open that hood scoop up and it blows cold air into the cab itself. That's going to be a fun feature in the summer. Body is really solid, a little bit of rust, a few dents. Running boards look really good. Bit of body work there. I'll probably keep it just the way it is. I may paint it flat black, but that's about as far as I'll go. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty confident that's not the original rear end. I've also got a 1951 F3, and it has a Timken style rear end, which is split down the center line of the actual ring gear. And it looks like the track of the rear is a little bit narrower than the track at the front by a few inches. Not a big deal. Bed, cab, front cowling, the whole front clip is going to be dropped onto the Dodge 2500 chassis anyways. I'll need to address that bumper. I probably won't even use this original steering column because it shoots down too far. The steering box is right below the firewall there, whereas on the Dodge it's going to be in front of the axle, so I'm going to have to figure that all out. I'd love to get the original gauges running if I can. I don't have a lot of hope because I'm not seeing a speedometer cable up there. So it probably was never actually hooked up when whoever did the transmission and engine swap completed their work. They probably just lived without a speedo, so that's something I'm going to need to figure out. I'll need to get a sun visor. That's a bit of safety gear that's missing. The rear glass, you can see, is delaminating back here. There is another second window here that I could use. I probably won't use that one. I do have new glass from LMC truck that I bought years ago. This wing window here, the seal is okay, but the glass is cracked. I don't know if I can get away with that or not. And I do have side glass sitting inside somewhere in storage. I'm gonna have to replace this window. There's no channels, no seals. I'll need to figure that out. Both sides. They do work up and down. Probably needs to have a little bit of work done on them. Door latches work, doors are in good shape. Probably have to fabricate access panels here, unless they're somewhere down there, not sure. There was some definitely farm truck repairs done to the floor. You can see those bits of sheet metal here that have been pot riveted onto the floor, so I need to get under there and figure out how much rust that I need to deal with. I may make those look a little prettier. I think that's just aluminum, I don't know, it's hard to tell. There's flaking paint all on the inside of the cab. I'm going to come in here with a wire wheel and just kind of grind that all off while wearing a respirator, because I'm pretty sure I get enough of my daily dose of carcinogens just through normal living. And I am going to put 3-point seat belts in here. Those are probably decent mount points that I can use. Got the rail down there. Oh, that's interesting. I guess that's the shifter boot. There's the gas tank in here. It looks to be in pretty good condition. Just need to drain whatever disgusting stuff is in there. Oh yeah, the seat's just not even bolted down. This would have been a death trap driving this anywhere. I'll need to put a bed in there. These trucks typically had, I think it was like 1x6 or 2x6 planks in there for the bed. They were really sturdy, but of course, being wood, they're going to rot if not looked after. It's probably been gone decades ago. I will just grind off all those bolts down there. I'll trim down a nice sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, get it looking good. Yeah, I got my work cut out for me. The dashboard is, well, looks like it's missing a few things, don't you think? Glove box, whatever went in there. I bet that was an ashtray. This might have been a stereo or a radio. That's definitely a speaker hole. That's, oh, that's kind of cool. What gauge is that? That is an oil pressure gauge. Sweet. I bet I could get that working because that's just a copper tube that goes to the engine itself. See it through there. But I've been wanting projects to work more on my metal fabrication skills, some panel beating, so I will probably just make deletes. I may just find myself some old school kind of push button stereo, stick it in there with a speaker just for fun. Glove box is long gone. I will just make a panel for that. Unless there's one down in there, but I kind of doubt it. That's access to the master cylinder down there. It's kind of cool that they're actually below the level of the brake pedal. Leads to some interesting failures because these are only a single reservoir. It's a single piston, so all four corners of the brakes are powered by one hose. And if you get a failure anywhere in that point, you lose all your brakes. Which reminds me, this is the handbrake. Doesn't actually work. I'll need to fix that. Be nice to have a parking brake on this thing. The old school Ford high beam switch. I've got that in my F-150 as well. Rear view mirror of all things. Still in pretty good shape for 73 years old. My Nissan Pathfinder is starting to delaminate on the outsides of it. So definitely something to be said for older quality on vehicles. Granted, they're heavier, less efficient, but some things on them last a lot longer. I know one thing for sure on this truck. I don't have to worry about internet connectivity. I don't have to worry about having an OBD reader for it. Until, of course, I put it on top of the Dodge 2500 body because that is modern electronics. But it's all going to be something that I have control over and I can maintain and fix. This bumper is pretty badass. It never actually had, from what I can tell, a ball on it. It just looks like a pin that would go through. Maybe it was a farm truck at some point in its life. I would like to put a proper heavy-duty hitch on here because the Dodge 2500 is rated at 14,000 pounds towing capacity. So man, could you imagine this little red truck rolling down the highway pulling 14,000 pounds? So let's have a look and see what's in this pile of stuff in the passenger footwell. Oh yeah, look at that. There's the... Okay, there's one last thing I need to make. Huh. That's pretty cool. I have an ashtray. Pretty good for a non-smoker. Let's dig through here and see what I got. That's the heater core. The big question is, does it leak? Well, would you look at that? So this looks to be this is the actual heater core flap for defrost. It looks like it goes under the dashboard somewhere. That's pretty cool. Oh, that's probably the motor control, the speed control. That's a resistor, that coil there. So this is going to be driven by how much current flows through the resistor. Yeah, that's probably no good. This is one half of the hood latch. I did notice it was missing, which is why I had a tie down strap on the hood so it wouldn't fly open while I was towing it. Wow, look at that. There's the actual glove box. Okay, so that's another thing that I don't have to make. Oh, wow. I think that is a turn signal mechanism. It looks like this is literally going to rub up against the steering column. And as the steering wheel turns, it's going to click the turn signal off. That is pretty darn cool. It's also something I have no idea how it works. I may have to make an electronic turn signal control. Okay, we can toss that. This looks like a window channel. Don't know if I can use it or not. It looks pretty new. So, oh yeah, maybe it is. That looks like the cover for the heater core. Awesome. There you can see another farmer patch panel. I really want to get under there and see how bad the rust is. And wow. Leave a comment if you know what this is. It was made in the USA. It's pretty unusual now. Seriously, leave a comment if you know what this is. It's so cool. Absolutely obsolete now, but very, very cool. Okay, so this window does actually have a channel, and it has the felting down there, so I don't know how bad that is. It's definitely got to be something on the outside, because you want to stop as much water from coming down the glass into the door. It will drain. There's drain holes down there, but you know, you want to get that stuff out of here. Oh, look, I've got a nail. Does that actually work? Why do I have a nail? Why is there a nail in there? Is that by design? Oh, let's find out. Wow, anybody? Well, can't imagine that is going to be very good. I guess it just holds the wing window shut while the truck's in motion. I'll get another seal for this window. Well, cool, the sun has just come out. Now I gotta make a list of all the things that I need to fix on this truck, and I've just noticed I need to have a horn and a horn button. One more thing to put on that list. I hope you enjoyed the quick tour of this sweet little 1950 Ford F1. She's a neat little truck. I'm looking forward to having a fun time building this project. Next thing I'm gonna try and do is get the engine started. Hope you join me for that. I'll do that in the next video. And if the engine and transmission are good and I can drive this little truck around, that's gonna be a bonus. If not, I'll fix them. If you're enjoying this video, why not hit the like button? And if you're enjoying what I'm doing with this channel, why not subscribe? I've got some fun stuff planned. Regardless, thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Now to get started on that list.